it's not going to be done through the way that we've seen try to be created before. We're concentrating everybody who's in the same bracket or in the same predicament and situation in one place. But it's got to be creative and solution driven. And so I think really pushing on our leaders and relying on community members to bring some of these things out into the forefront to ensure that it's a part of what we're submitting and what we're saying to the city in terms of how we're really ensuring that equity is dispersed across the city, and so that it's not just on one side of the bridge, but that equity is throughout the city. And so I think really being intentional about the way that we go about with our comments has been really important. And again, I think too, just really ensuring that the aspects from the city perspective that impact each ward or ANC would have been something that could have been even more helpful.
Certainly. So 1C has definitely relied on neighborhood associations. So Calorama Citizens Association, I think we have a few that are in the room now, but also the Reed Cook Neighborhood Association. And then in terms of like business improvement or anything that has to do with like health or human services, I relied on our local nonprofits. So Mary Center is located in Adams Morgan. I've reached out to them and seen what issues they have, having one-to-ones, and then seeing how we can further their clientele and allow them to be able to use their services better. And then also the business improvement districts, they have requests related to looking at the different business drives. So there are definitely community organizations that we are able to get information from. So in terms of 1C and what elements we're tackling outside of our own element, transportation, housing, those are definitely our biggest ones.
Hi, so Columbia Heights, as you all know, is the densest neighborhood in the city. So we have to consider almost all of them. So I mean, public space, parks, transportation, housing, land use, you name it, zoning. And what we found was that there was a lot of cross-referencing in the elements, which were, if we really had time, it would be an iterative process, right? And the document would eventually reveal itself, right? But the fact that the time is so short, and I know zoning, I know transportation. I'm a freshman commissioner, and I had to jump in. Columbia Heights, you know, they're talking about upzoning, and this commissioner said there's like 2 to 3 commission BCA cases, you know, a year. There's 4 every meeting in 1A. So we are leading the pack. Our chair has been there 8 years. Our vice chair, you know, it's a group of people who are concerned about how Columbia Heights is going to do. But the fact is, equity is a word that's been thrown around a lot, and there is nothing equitable about this process. I see development in Columbia Heights. I'm there, I see it all the time. This thing is being pushed, and it's borderline criminal, really, in my opinion, that this process, I told you I have people who speak Spanish, who speak Amharic. They're not even included. The document is not even translated. What is going on here? And that's my take on it. I can sit here and try to be a politician and politically, you know, but I have to tell the truth. This thing is, it is borderline criminal. I mean, the fact that they wrote it out so quickly and in response to the, you know, the suits at McMillan and Bruce Morton, and this thing, you know, the smart growthers and the banks and the developers are behind changing this city. You know, I came over the Gateway, Martin Luther King, and I had a visceral reaction. Our city is being sold, you know, to the highest bidder. And this comprehensive plan, you know, there's nothing equitable about it. My resolution was in solidarity with the east of the river and the ANC commissions that just don't have the, you know, ability to access it to be like 1A or Shaw, you know, where Alex has been the chair for 21 years. You know, these people are organized. And anyway, yeah, he's an awesome commissioner. So is Kent Bays. But, you know, that's my take on it.
In terms of familiarity, I've read the the housing element, the economic development element, the rec request element, and also the land use element, use the land use, and the housing and the rec request elements to do a presentation to my SMD, pulled out the policies in those. But I've also read almost all of the area elements, with the exception of Central Washington, and I did that to try to figure out how the economic development element, which is startling, and I would urge you all to read it, among the tidbits that you will find in there are that 82% of the new jobs in the region between 2015 and 2035 are forecast to be in the suburbs. 70% of the jobs require post-secondary education. 71% of the DC jobs are held by non-residents. That's in 2015, and there's nothing in the economic development that suggests that that is going to change. The other thing that is really interesting is that the value of commercial property has doubled in the district between 2006 and 2018. And property tax assessments have increased 85% over that same period. When you look at the economic development element and you look at the housing element and you see and if you look at them separately and you don't link them, you are missing the point. If there aren't jobs, you can't afford housing. Suggesting that there's going to be all this housing out there and that somehow it's going to be affordable, you've really got not only to read between the lines, but we've got to force the city to explain what they mean by affordable housing and who's going to build it. I haven't found one word in any of the area elements that suggests that the city is going to use our taxpayer dollars to produce affordable housing. If we're going to rely on private developers to do it, then we're going to get 90% of every development is going to be market rate housing. It's only going to put us more in the hole, and 8 to 10% will be affordable. And by affordable, they mean up to 60% of the median family income. It's been well documented, although not in this housing element, but by other very credible groups, that our critical housing shortage is from 0 to 50%. The city is primarily responsible for funding and supporting that housing. I challenge you to find anything in this comprehensive plan that explains what the plan is from the city to do that. The other thing I would mention very quickly, because I know we want to move on, is displacement. Grassroots Planning Coalition, that is one of our main focus points. When you read the area elements, you can pull out some of the data. It's really fuzzy, it's hard to find, but Black displacement between 2000 and 2017 has primarily been in wards 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6. The white population increase from 2000 to 2017, guess where? Primarily in wards 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6. The range of displacement has been between 2,000 and 12,000 people in those wards. The increase in white population in those wards has been between 6,000 and 22,000. Then you should look at where the city is proposing to expand population. It is not surprising that there's a correlation.
Let me say one other thing. And also, the low-income housing tax credit, which supports much of the affordable housing in the city, over 25 of those projects are set to expire in the next 10 years. So there you go. How many people know that? Because that's when the city, will come. The tenants will not know. They can refinance and they may use TOPA then. But nobody's publishing that information, and that's very critical to what you're saying. Absolutely. And Ward 1 has a lot of affordable housing subsidized with the LIHTC, limited equity cooperatives. And then you talk about DHCD and how the money has been, not been spent and increasing the Housing Preservation Trust Fund, and yet not using those funds and to tell people that the LIHTC is going to run out soon and you should start exercising your TOPA rights.
It's already run out.
Exactly. In your ward, those are all rent control buildings in Wisconsin, and the city is, engineering, trying to get those folks out of the rent control departments and put folks in using affordable housing. Look, we gotta use vouchers, get them in there, but they pay over market rate, and so, it's a lot going on.
Okay, so since we're running out of time, and we're gonna open it up to the audience at some point. Let me see if I have one last question before we open it up. Actually, I can open it up now, but I do want to emphasize the fact that there are 12 citywide elements and 10 area elements, but also you throw in the framework element and the implementation. So in total, it's actually 1,539 pages, and no one has time to read that because I don't, and it is my job to read that. So please make sure to pay attention to it. Yesterday was the deadline for the public comment period, so you still do have time to engage your A&C commissioners. We have some folks here, so if these are your commissioners, please make sure to talk to them afterwards. And but I am going to open it up now. Oh wow, okay.
Microphones on the table.
We also have the microphones at the table. Okay, Ambrose, that's all your name.
Turn on.
First, Nancy, you are so much on point with your data, and I want to commend you for that data. The Commissioner from Ward 1, I love you because you are speaking my language, and Happy New Year to all of you. It's almost as this was designed in such a way, this rollout was designed in such a way that you almost have to have an attorney present for each commission to walk them through this process. If you don't have commissioners that have subject matter expertise, you almost have to have an attorney that knows this information inside and out to be able to, and a progressive attorney, let me just say, a progressive attorney, to be able to walk each commission through this process. In Ward 7, and I'm imagining that this is happening in other places too. Commissioner Housel had mentioned that her commission worked with my organization, Health Alliance Network, and other commissioners. We actually called and had a Ward 7-wide meeting for commissioners to discuss this. We had the maps up, and we separated in different parts, different commissions within that meeting. And we certainly needed to be more than that. One of the things that was mentioned was the definition of affordable. Because we know that it is fairly ambiguous from the city side, right? It's a range that is so wide that you can't really call it affordable. So one of the things that we talked about in our meetings was for each commission or each element to have its own definition of what affordable is. Now, I know that they switched it because it was AMI at one point in time and now it's something else. But still, to have the commission define it for themselves, what is affordable housing, pass that as a resolution, as long as it is within still, family median income. Well, what range of family median income are we talking about that's affordable for this particular element? And so, and push that concept forward. The question that I have, and I go on, because I've been coming to these meetings, y'all know, for almost 2 years now. The question that I have is, at what point are your commissions ready to issue resolutions before the February 15 deadline to be able to get those comments in? And how much effort will it take for you all to do that? On my side, I'm a citizen, I'm not a commissioner, but I do run a health organization, so I'm hoping to submit, at least on the health element, if you have a health element, to my commissions in Ward 7. So So I wanted to know where your process is in terms of submitting the resolutions, because that's what's going to carry.
So I would say, for whatever your proposal is, blow it up as much as possible. So like if you have a one pager, put it on Twitter, email every chairperson of every ANC. All of that information is public. If not, the email is the ward and the part of it 1C07@anc.dc.gov. You can just go up and through the email chain. And then also CC DC Planning as well. That way they know that you've emailed them. And then from there, it is reliant on the ANC to take it up. But ANC 1C, we have received those. We would discuss the amendments. And then for our personal turnaround, February 5th is when we will be voting and finalizing our resolution, endorsing KCA or RCNA amendments, bid amendments, public comment amendments, and then our own amendments, own ANC commission amendments. And I'm sure other ANC commissions have the same. But I would just say make it as public as possible and easily as accessible and right in front of the ANC commissioner's face. So.
So for ANC 70, we are planning to vote on our resolution this upcoming Tuesday. We received a lot of public comments, and as I mentioned earlier, we've gone through a pretty iterative process of getting comments. And so we do have a draft resolution. And so if you do have any final comments around health, if you can get those to me by Sunday night at the latest, that would be really helpful. I know you asked how much effort. It's going to take the whole weekend for us, quite honestly, to pull together those comments. But one of the things that, one of the reasons why we're moving forward with approving the resolution on Tuesday is because we'll have one other chance in February, but that chance is maybe 2 days before the deadline, and we don't want to run the risk of it snowing or something happening and then we don't get it in. So for us, the strategy is to get it in as soon as possible.
So ANC 2F, we are meeting every Monday. If there's anyone here from 2F, please let me know, because our meetings are every Monday, and then we will be presenting on February 5th and voting on our resolutions.
So we've done something very, I think, innovative in Ward 8, is that we put up a Google Doc that's open to anybody, that they can view it, and everybody can make comments. So if you can't come to the meetings, you're free to comment on the sections that we carved out. So you can't erase the comments. So we put that up there and made that only comment friendly for everybody. And so like I said, we carved out 5 different categories, and we meet every Monday at MLK Elementary School. We won't be meeting on the 20th, that'll be the holiday. But what we also asked was that we could get all of the principals from Ward 8 to come out on the 27th. And that way we can hear directly from the principals, that, especially in terms of their facilities, what are some of the things that they want to see happen on that day. And so our plan was to then take that document and then send it out to all of the different commissions at the end of January, so that they'll have at least 2 weeks to try to get their resolutions passed. So we're meeting every Monday at MLK Elementary School, which is 3200 6th Street Southeast. If you can't make the meeting, you can go to, I'll send this over to Empower DC and they can send it out. But the website is bit.ly, it's all lowercase, bit.ly/Ward 8 comp plan. And you can see the Google folder with all of the comments. And what we put in there was the area element for, I think it's a far southeast and southwest. So you can see what pertains to this particular community. You can look at it, and then we have a blank Google Doc in there for you to add whatever comments that you have. And our plan is to turn that over to all of the commissioners at the end of the month. So then they'll have that 2 weeks to get their resolutions passed. The time, oh, I apologize, at 6:30, 6:30, every Monday at MLK Elementary School, right in their library.
Okay.
So ANC 7F is going to be passing our resolution at our January meeting on the 21st of this month. So Ambrose, we've partnered with the Health Alliance Network in the past to pass resolution. So if you would submit that anything related to health that you would like to ensure we have a part of our resolution on the 21st. And so what we did again is we sent out an email blast to our email listserv, which we have over 300 email addresses. Not nearly enough as we probably should have, but when you have to start from scratch and kind of build your way up. But we've alerted community members that they can submit any comments that they would like to have added to the resolution, to send it to the email address that goes to our commission. And so over this weekend and next week, we'll be working to ensure that it's in resolution form.
Okay, so what we did, we already passed our resolution on certain elements, which were land use, environmental protection element, economic development, parks and open spaces, urban design, historic preservation, community service, and infrastructure, and Rock Creek East. I didn't have anything to do with any of those. I would like to have, but what we did was, our website, we've had it up for a long time for the public to make comments directly onto the website, onto the comprehensive plan, and to see what comments and what the commissioners were drafting in our comments. And what we found was nobody was making any comments. And we've had it up for a long time. We've been getting this out to the community. So we decided to do that. 1 in 10 people know about the comp plan. 1 in 10 in the city. But we can still make comments on that and just, add an addendum or resolution. But transportation, future land use, housing, educational, arts and culture, and big city elements, see, that's what we're going to, that's how it happens organically, pardon me, as the commissioners that actually are working on it, that's what we're interested in the most. And so we're working collectively on those elements, and that's what we'll pass, in February, So housing is my thing, transportation is my thing, zoning, like she said, it all goes together.
I don't know whether ANC 3C will have a resolution. We have a split commission. Currently, the only emails that I'm receiving are being generated by Greater Washington and the Smart Growth community. I've actually put something out on our community listserv recently, sort of highlighting 2 of the biggest issues that would affect our community in the amendments and asking for comments. And I'm still not getting any comments. One of my fears is that because of this Office of Planning exercise, ANCs would have done their best in a very compressed amount of time and with very few resources to develop resolutions, and then they will consider that their task is done. The Office of Planning has signaled both privately and publicly here at this meeting, not very long ago, that they are unlikely to make very many changes, if any changes, after all of this effort from the ANCs and residents. So my fear is that we will sort of let down our guard and not realize that the real decision makers are the council. And that is where we should be focusing our effort. And that there is going to be a lot of time between now and when the council will hold hearings. Bill Mendelson has said they will not occur before June. They could be as late as the fall. There is a lot of time for the public to become engaged. Typically, residents don't get engaged until there's something right before them, and that is likely to be the council hearing. So I really hope that ANCs and community and Grassroots Planning Coalition and all of your neighborhood associations don't let up. Keep trying to learn about this document and understand that the decision makers, it's not the Office of Planning, it's the council.
I also want to highlight the fact that during our next meeting, we're going to talk about the oversight hearings. So February 8th, second Saturday of the month, but we're going to talk about the oversight hearing because the Office of Planning and the Office of Zoning, they're going to be going before the council together. So we want to prepare people for that. Okay, next question.
I want to thank the ANC commissioners first for being ANC commissioners and secondly for your work on the comp plan. Meg mentioned that the real decision is the council. And I would, after you get your comments in,
Hold your mic.
after you get your comments in and meet the February deadline, I think it would be wonderful if the ANCs would look at doing something in ANC solidarity. What I heard from you was you have roughly the same reaction to the comp plan. And I think it would be very powerful if the council found out what sort of a collective reaction from the ANCs is. So I urge you to explore that after February.
Can Empower DC organize that Saturday,
That's a great idea.
February 8th?
I can do that. I'm bad at this.
It's a quick question. So I was looking up my ANC and found that there are quite a few vacant seats in almost every ANC, and I just wanted to put that out there. I don't know as far as ward to ward what capacity we're missing. I know there's lots of valuable ways that people can contribute, but if you could just say if your ANC is missing capacity and needs people to look and see if they live in a ward that has a vacant or a delinquent ANC of some sort, there, this is the election year, right? Okay, so, yeah, that might be important since this is a room full of really politically active people. If you have anything to say about that.
Do we have vacancies?
Yeah, anybody can run it's right.
Right, of course. But as far as like having people available to do the work, I think having short three ANCs versus contesting another, primarying another person is a different case. I would encourage you to run if you want to run, but there might, I think I was surprised that my own ANC
Had vacant seats.
several, yeah.
Right.
So I can answer that.
Yeah, we don't, 1A doesn't have it. We have 12 commissioners most in the whole city, and it is a well-oiled machine, believe that. And to speak to that point is, it's, all politics is local. People have to say, you gotta get out there and do it, you gotta tell your friends, everybody in here. I did this because my friends said it, from DC Grassroots Coalition and Empower DC. They're like, you'd be a good ANC commissioner. I'm like, okay. And I did it, and it's a lot of work. As much as everybody in here is committed to a better, equitable, fair city, and so you gotta run people and get that out there. Say, look at this, we have empty seats, because each voice, there's more power in voices than voice. We know that, right?
So are there any vacancies on right? That's what you want to know. It's public information.
One seat has 2 vacancies, and if you are, as a white man, if you're a white man, sit down. Anyone else and everyone should run, for real, please. It is so many white men that are on ANC, so many. If you're a renter, run. Thank you.
So ANC 7 ever has 1 vacancy. Prior to when I first got on the commission, we were gridlocked on just about every vote, and I have a member in the community here who can tell you, just about every vote was 3-3. So we did not have a tie-breaking vote. It wasn't until we were able to get somebody to run against one of the other commissioners who was really the roadblock for the commission to become more progressive, we were able to flip that seat. However, the challenge is that the seat that's open and has been vacant since 2011, I want to say, after the lines were redrawn, is the area where DC General, the Hill East community, and I really believe that was intentional on the city, on whoever's part, to ensure that was a vacancy. That should have never been a vacancy with all of the development, with the impending development that's supposed to go on there, Hill East. So certainly, as there's a apartment complex that's being built there now, hopefully we'll have that 7-seat filled. But I believe that we have the only ANC in the city that over the past 6-7 years has not been filled at any point.
So Commission 8C is full, But I will tell you that, and I think I can say this across the board for a lot of the commissions, is making sure that we get competent people in the positions. Truth be told, you got a lot of good people that have, good hearts and they want to serve their community, but they may be parents, they don't have time, they got to, iron clothes, got to still do homework, got to make executive meeting, commission meeting. And so I think the challenge in some of this is making sure that we have people who can take on this task as well as fulfill constituent services. That makes some sense. And I think that when we talk about capacity, how do we even get some of these things on the agenda when, especially if you have a commission where there's a lot of development going on, there's only so much you can get on the agenda. So I think that having these meetings like this, so I want to give Empower DC a round of applause for organizing this and helping us get the word out. Once you get somebody elected, the work doesn't stop just by getting that person elected, so you still got to support them even in office.
So, again, ANC 7E, we don't have any vacancies, thankfully, and also I'm hoping that, given that your ANC does have vacancies, I'm hoping that you'll run, right? Right. Great, yeah, that's what we want to hear. Let's give that a round of applause. But I do want to echo what was just shared. Even though we have a full ANC, it doesn't mean that people show up or that they're participating. And so we have a very limited capacity. Out of all the 7 commissioners, you may have 2 that are active in this process. So our capacity is extremely limited.
Something I also want to bring up as well is committees. I believe 2 hours in a month is a lot less time that's needed to be done to fix all the ills in the community. And just because people are not at the meetings, don't make them inactive. So there's definitely other ways to get involved, even if you are not a commissioner, even if you don't have the full time to be full-fledged into the work. People are supportive of public health. People care about education. People care about public safety. People care about road safety. So I commend ANC's commissions that have committees to work on these things. And I think it's an opportunity for others to join as well. Because like I said, 2 hours a month is not enough.
So initially we had slated up until 3 o'clock, but I want to do a quick temperature check. Are y'all cool with extending it another 10 to 15 minutes? Questions?
For what?
Yeah.
More questions?
Yeah, for more questions. So if you're like, yes, we should extend it, please let me know. Oh, cool with it? Okay.
Can you just pick out the folks that are going to do that?
Okay.
Can he introduce himself to the commission?
I think so.
My name is Dr. Oye Wolowat. I am the ANC Commissioner of 8E01 as well as the Secretary of ANC 8E.
Thank you.
All right, so I apologize for coming in late, but one of my questions is how were the ANCs invited to this meeting? I don't see anybody from ANC 8A here today. Well, that's what I'm saying. I wanted to find out just what it was. And the other thing I wanted to just share, just a couple of comments, is that, just in working on this over a period of time, and I was one of the people who made, I proposed some amendments back there when the public was able to last year to make suggestions. But one of the things I think is really important for all the ANCs to really